Hello everybody and welcome to another Sunday video on our channel where we're talking about 5 cool cards for Mr. Nathaniel CHO. We're going to be doing the 5 starter deck investigators next with a little rule where none of these cool cards are going to come from their deck because it's kind of obvious that, hey, this card from the Nathaniel CHO from the Stella Clark deck is good in Stella Clark or Nathaniel CHO. As well with this series, we try not to look for cards that are just like ubiquitously powerful. Like, we're not going to be like, hey, Vicious Blow Nathaniel CHO is a cool card. Like, it's strong and it works well, but it's not exactly like you go like, oh, that's kind of cool, that's kind of neat. So our goal, as much as possible, with some characters it's a bit tricky because they're a tiny bit boring. No offense, Nathaniel. That we're trying to find cards that as non-ubiquitous as we can for them. So why don't we dive into the first one, which is Moment of Respite. This is a 3-cost, 3-experience spirit event that commits for 2 brain. Play only if there are no enemies at your location. Heal 3 horror and draw 1 card. So this is from the Dunwich Legacy. Yeah, as Travis's wow perfectly exclaimed, this is a neutral spirit event. If you don't know,
the only one of its kind.
Which, if you don't know why that's important, is because Nathaniel CHO is built around using the boxing gloves, which after he defeats an enemy, he can search the top 6 or 9 cards, depending on the version, to find a spirit and put it into his hand. So this heals half of his health. Half of his horror, which is nice for a card that you can just dig up when you need it. And if you're having a killer game and you're like, I've taken no horror, I'm literally unkillable, this is just a guts. Yeah, a guts that costs you 3 experience that doesn't replace itself after you use it, but still, it still commits for 2 brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's cool. And also, I think I've only seen at this table us play this card once, and I think it was Travis, and I think it was in a campaign that wasn't going well for him.
Yeah, sounds right.
Or alternatively, when he was Lola and he was playtesting this card. It was one of those memories. Next cool card is Tetsuo Mori. He is a 3-cost asset that takes up the ally slot, commits for a book. He has 2 meat damage and 2 horror damage. He may be assigned damage and or horror dealt to other investigators at your location. As a reaction, when he is defeated, you can choose an investigator at your location. That investigator searches either their discard pile or the top 9 cards of their deck for an item asset and adds it to their hand. Shuffle their deck if it is searched. And this is from the Dream Eaters cycle. Travis, why do we think Tetsuo is cool in Nathaniel CHO?
A lot of the cards come in the Nathaniel CHO deck want him to take damage for something or to be attacked, such as Counterpunch, which admittedly lets you hit first. But other cards like Lesson Learned want you to take that damage, which Tetsuo Mori gladly does. And when he does die, he helps you find your boxing gloves.
Mm-hmm. Not only does he's happy to take damage for you, when you kill him, he rewards you.
Yep.
Tetsuo
Pretty cool guy.
He's a very strong ally, and he's highly recommended in a lot of blue decks. But Nathaniel CHO is especially good for the reasons Travis said, and finding your boxing gloves is a very key part into ensuring that your deck does what you want it to do. Next up, also Tetsuo, we're going to come back to him once we get to a card on this list. Next one we got is Blood Eclipse. This is a 3 experience. There's also a 1 experience one. I believe it's 1 experience. A 1-cost spell and spirit event. Commits for a brain and a fist. As additional cost to play Blood Eclipse, take up to 3 damage. As an action, you fight. This attack uses brain instead of fist. You get +1 brain and deal +1 damage for this attack for each damage taken as part of this card's cost. Now you're probably thinking, Justin, isn't it just more efficient to punch with my fist? Yes, absolutely, and it's always the right choice. However, I will return your question with a question of my own. Isn't this not cool?
It's metal as hell.
Yeah, and
this guy's gonna stab somebody with a sword made of his own blood.
This works well with Tetsuo, right? Because he can take the damage for you. And then there's some other tricks that can work there as well. I mean, like, he can only take 2 of the damage, then he dies. But when you're done with him, you can be like, all right, Tetsuo, give me your blood for the Blood Eclipse spell. And he's like, all right. By the way, I found your boxing gloves. They're over here, right?
Yeah.
While not necessarily, like, there's better things you can do in Nathaniel Cho, if I see Nathaniel Cho pull out a blood knife and stab someone with it, like, this represents 4 damage. You're only attacking at 6. You can help it with other things, right? Like, you can take the upgraded Holy Rosary if you really want to get spicy with it, right? Actually, that's not bad.
You can get 5 damage off this because it deals +1 damage for each damage you take. So if you take the 3, then use your reaction ability to add an extra damage.
I don't know about you,
You can
but
score 5 points.
that sounds like a Gug killer or a boss killer, right? Like, that's a lot of damage.
It is a lot of damage.
Yeah, 1 action for 5 points. Don't mind if I do.
And it's also just dang cool. All right, let's go to the next one, which is Calling in Favors. This is a 1-cost favor event that commits for a book and a foot. Choose an ally asset you control and return it to your hand. Then search the top 9 cards of your deck for an ally asset and play it, reducing its cost by X. X is the cost of the ally asset. Return to your hand. Shuffle your deck. Brain, why is this one cool?
Oh, man. So, if you haven't, go give Randall Cho a read. He's Nathaniel Cho's unique asset. He costs 2, is a 1/3, and when he enters, you get to choose either to heal yourself for 3 or search your discard pile and deck for a weapon card and play it. How does that get better? We put him back into our hand and try again.
And then in the process, also play your Tetsuo.
Yeah, and then you can go find your Tetsuo or your guard dog or your beat cop or whatever you're doing. Whatever other thing you're doing. If you're doing guard dog, that would be pretty neat. Yeah, put damage on the guard dog, and the guard dog does damage back to the monsters, and then you pick him up and play your Randall, or vice versa.
I also like the flavor because, like, Randall doesn't enjoy what Nathaniel's doing, and just making him, like, repeat his line every time he comes in. It's like, you gotta stop doing this, Randall. Nathaniel, you gotta stop doing this. And it's just like, no, come back. I have more wounds I need you to heal.
Nope, but I need more help.
Yeah. So this one's pretty. It's just the potential to play Randall, who is a very strong, not only a horror soak, but also just his ability, right, to heal 3 damage. That's a lot of cool potential power there. Last up, we got Bandolier with special guest appearance from Shotgun, but we'll get back to that. So Bandolier is a 2-cost, 2 experience item asset that takes up your clothing slot. It commits for a brain and a fist. You have 2 additional hand slots, which can only be used to hold weapon assets. And while you have weapon assets held in 2 or more of your hand slots, you get +1 brain. It also takes 1 damage. So, Bryn, why is this one cool?
Oh, so you know what? You know what's pretty neat about having this giving you 2 hand slots? Boxing gloves takes up 2 hand slots. You're just then free to do whatever you want with your hands while still getting all of the use out of your boxing gloves. You could even play a second pair of boxing gloves.
Yeah. Full on Goro, baby.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But alternatively, as special guest shotgun shows, we could just carry a different kind of weapon, like a shotgun, that normally isn't good because it doesn't give you that many different fights. It gives you a lot of damage to a couple of fights, but you don't need to waste it on the mid-size guys.
Yeah.
You just use it on the really big guys, and they're like, "Oh, I'll box you," and you pull out your shotgun, and they're like, "Wait, that's not in the rules."
Yeah, this is against. What do you have? What's going on here? So the Bandolier, there's also an upgraded version they're both from Dunwich, the Dunwich Legacy cycle, and this kind of goes back even. I'm actually kind of like looking at this thread that has been pushed through this, but like Bandolier, say you have your boxing gloves and something else that holds 2 hand slots, you're at 4 brain. you have a Holy Rosary, or like even just not having the Holy Rosary, you spend your 3 damage on Bloody Clips, you have 7 brain. You kill a thing dealing 5 damage to it, then with the Calling in Favors that you've already used, you play your Randall Cho again, heal the 3 damage you just used on your Bloody Clips. Like, yeah, it's a lot of cards in a deck that, you know, you only get to draw your spirits so easily. But, like, I think that's a cool through line to all these cards together.
It is also worth noting that Tetsuo Mori finds items, not weapons. So you can find your Bandolier.
Hey, look at that. Wow, you know what? We just built a great...
Yeah, there's a lot of synergies here.
Yeah. Go us. That's why we make videos on YouTube for you guys. Because we look at Nathaniel Cho and then we go, yes, but how can he shoot a shotgun? And then we crack the mystery and other more relevant things fall out. Of note as well, like, this is one of those things where, like, even just like the basic Bandolier, like giving Nathaniel Cho a survival knife to basically like also be able to counterpunch in the future, like, is also good. Like, it doesn't need to be the level 2 one, but the level 2 one lets you shoot a shotgun and then give you
yeah.
And I
the
mean,
level
like,
2 one lets you wear 4 boxing gloves.
Yeah, and I believe Bandolier level 2, you get your boxing gloves out and you now have 4 brain, and like that's very comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. If you have like Bandolier in play, and you've played Randall Cho, you can use Randall Cho to go and find your boxing gloves and play them. Then Calling in Favors Randall Cho back, and then when you play them the second time, find your other boxing gloves or other weapon of choice.
No, Brady, I understand. You're just pushing hard for the Goro build. I get it.
I just think that one's funny.
Yeah. Well, there's our new and there's our new deck guide video, Nathaniel Goro, right? And I'll Photoshop him to have 4 arms, each with boxing gloves. We've done it. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll take this video out back behind the shed and put it out of its misery. We've really strayed far from this, but we'll be back in the near future for 5 cool cards for Harvey Walters. One of them, spoiler alert, is probably going to be Dream Serum, the Dream Enhancing Serum. So we'll see you guys then. If there's any other cool cards for Nathaniel Cho that you think we missed, let us know in the comments below. Have a good one, and as always, GG's.